Hello, everyone. As you can see, this is new. I am now like a little drawing, which is super fun. And if you want to make your own little drawing, I have a link to what I used to make this thing of me in the description. As long as I use it, it will always be in the description to give credit to the amazing artist who put this together. I really wish I could pronounce their name. I just can't, and I really don't want to butcher it, but it is down in the description, clear as day. I promise you it is there. All right, well, there's going to be a lot of experimentation in the next couple of videos just to see what works best, what sticks, what style, what topics everybody likes. So obviously for this round, we're doing a kind of like a animated PNG kind of thing. Mostly because I think viewer retention was not very good in the last video. So, if you've watched this far, you've probably watched farther than the last video most people did for the last one. So, this video is also going to be much shorter. I did not do as much research, and half of that is probably because I am now at school again. Just what it is, okay? Now, we're done with the boring stuff, and I can move on to the topic of the video, which is the Ace family. Austin McBroom and Catherine began dating back in 2015. They created the Ace Family channel in January 2016, so that channel just became 10 years old. And they uploaded their first video in July after the birth of their child, Elle. So the channel's name comes from the first letter of each of their names, A being for Austin, C for Catherine, and E for Elle, making Ace. Now, there are a lot of controversies. I can't really get into all the exposition, but we just gotta start diving into controversies. Starting with one of the first events that they ever hosted, which was a basketball shootout game. Basically, the premise was each player would take turns trying to make 10 consecutive shots around the three-point line, and at the end, the winner would be awarded $100,000. Now, the build up to this event made it sound like it was just another charity event and a way to give back to the fans. Well,
big day, the Ace family is giving away $100,000 to someone who can complete the Ace Family Challenge.
Like Austin mentioned in not the last video, but the video before, we really wanted to do something for the social media community.
And then comes the player list. So obviously a bunch of people put their names in to be selected. So there's a list of rules. They're probably on screen right now. And that list of rules was basically outlining how everything would work. And it calls out that Austin, Catherine, and Elle would be handpicking the contestants for the shootout competition. And once again, they've already framed this as an event that was to give back to the fans. So imagine the fans' surprise, the members of the Ace family, when they open up the announcement and every single slot is filled in with famous YouTubers. So what about giving back to the fans now when you're going to give $100,000 to a YouTuber to do whatever they want with? Which obviously I think if the YouTuber won, they would give the money to a charity, which was kind of Austin's whole point anyway, but that is besides the point. Okay, so the day of the event comes and all of our high-profile contestants come to the gym early to practice. McBroom even gets in on the action just to prove that he's skilled enough even though he wasn't competing. And I know I said I wasn't going to get into a whole lot of exposition. However, it is very important that you know that Austin used to play collegiate level basketball. That is his thing. So there are quite a few basketball related events that happen just in the Ace family, and only a couple that we're going to cover today, but that is why. It is his love, right? He loves basketball.
Dear basketball, from the moment I started rolling my dad's tube socks and shooting imaginary game-winning shots in the Great Western Forum, I knew one thing was real.
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I interrupting something? I'll just, Oh, there we go. So, during the competition, it just kept going and going and going, and nobody was making all 10 consecutive shots. So, there are multiple times throughout the video where Austin McBroom says, "Oh, I think I might have to get in there and start shooting for them because nobody's going to make it, and then I'll just donate all the money to charity." Eventually, he picks out someone from the stands, introducing him as an old friend. And, this old friend decides to give it a go. Well, in the end, he won the whole thing.
Who actually really needed it. I picked someone out of the stands that wasn't even in the contest just because we really wanted to give it away and I felt like he had a good shot. Next thing you know, he wins the game.
All right, so there were a lot of things back in the day that really kind of made fans feel a bit icky about the whole situation. And just to list those things out for you, they were that Austin promoted the event for the fans to participate in, and that the YouTuber and celebrity thing was kind of just sort of a suggestion he threw out there, and it ended up being that no fans were selected at all. And especially because Austin chose the members that were going to participate himself, he handpicked them. That means that he lined up this list of, the who's who of YouTube and was just yeah, we're gonna pick 10 of you and then no fans at all. And it seemed very obvious that Austin's main goal was to just donate it to charity. He kept mentioning that the winner should donate a bit, even straight up says that he was hoping the money would go to an organization, which at that point, why don't you just make it a charity thing? Why get the fans involved at all? If you want to donate to charity, or if you want celebrities to play for their favorite charity, if you've seen Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and there's celebrity who wants to be a millionaire, and you're like, wait a minute, that doesn't really make any sense. These celebrities probably have $1 million already. They probably are super rich. You'd be right. But each team plays for, they go in pairs, and each pair, they're playing for a charity, and in the end, however much money they glean from the competition, they donate it to that charity. So none of it actually ends up going in the pockets. The issue with Austin McBroom's shootout challenge is that the contestants were not required to give the money to charity. So hypothetically, someone could have won, let's say Logan Paul won, and yes, he was one of the contestants, and he just decided that he was going to keep the $100,000 and not donate it to anyone. It was completely within his right because there weren't any specific rules saying that he couldn't do that. And with the whole thing about Austin bringing in a old basketball friend of his, I'm pretty sure they played basketball together in college. It is all just very suspicious. He had a list of rules. Again, they may or may not be on screen right now, but that is by far one of the least awful things that Austin McBroom has done or has been a part of. We get to one of the most infamous things in Ace Family history, which is a basketball game against Chris Brown that took place at the Staples Center. So if you don't know, there are a bunch of little controversies that basically happen before these events. The Ace Family was basically very controversial at the time because it was alleged that they hired a bunch of police officers to come to their house and that they staged a break-in at their house. And so anytime the Ace Family comes under fire, they basically do this big event to kind of cover that up. And just at the same time, Chris Brown was also in some hot water for some reason. I can't remember at the moment, but I do remember reading an article that said that both Chris Brown and the Ace Family were putting together this basketball game event so that they could save face. So obviously there was one team that was led by Austin McBroom of the Ace family, and then another team that was led by Chris Brown. And there's just like, when you watch these videos and you start to like recognize people, because again, all of these events are kind of like the who's who of YouTube. And when I tell you, while I was sat watching the first video about the shootout one, and I saw JC, who, if you guys don't know, my absolute favorite TV show of all time, hands down, is Escape the Night. And JC is one of the YouTubers in my favorite season, the best season of Escape the Night of all time, season 3. He was in that season, and I literally paused it, backed it up so that I could confirm, because some of the YouTubers that were at these events are only in there for like a couple of seconds. Like, they're only in the video for a couple of seconds because the videos are all like 20 minutes long. And when I tell you that I let out a scream when I saw who was going to take the mic to sing the national anthem at this basketball game in the Staples Center, oh my gosh. Like, get your guesses in, guys, because I don't think you're gonna get it. All right, do you have your guess? I bet you're wrong, unless you've seen the video before. It was James Charles. Which, like, I know James has kind of like an infamous singing career. Like, not career, but, you know, memes, if you will.
Bring me a little water now. Bring me a little water, Sylvie.
Come on, be so for real. Yes. So, basically, that was very surprising, but not to my surprise, and I'm sure not to anyone's surprise. Austin McBroom's team, the Ace family team, they ended up winning the whole thing, and they eventually gave $100,000 to a charity called the Painted Turtle, which, from what I was able to gather, helps sick kids in the local area. So, as I was watching this video, I wasn't like a really big Family Channel person. I think maybe the channel that I interacted with the most was the LeBrant family, who's like still around today. But I was more of a Wengie girl back then, if you know what I, like 2016, Wengie, that was my jam. Going to watch this video that I had never seen before, and a controversy that I wasn't ever familiar with until this moment when I decided to look into it, many comments were filled with people talking about Catherine's book. And earlier in 2025, so last year, she published a book that was kind of a memoir, expose kind of deal, where she was basically talking about everything that she went through with Austin and all of the cheating and the scandal and just like everything. It's an absolute, it's a devastating book for a lot of people who grew up watching the Ace family and are now finding out all of these dark secrets. And the first chapter and like kind of like the preview to the book is of this day. Basically, Catherine says that on the day of the match, she found out that her husband, Austin McBroom, had been cheating on her. That he didn't want to walk out onto the court with her, and that after the fact, he invited his mistress. Which is just insane. And the fact that they are together for several years after the fact is just crazy to me. And a lot of people are saying you can see it now, like you can see how sad Catherine is, just in the way that she's looking around at the place, or basically kind of going back with a new set of eyes and being able to see, you can see how grateful Catherine is for her fan base. Meanwhile, you can see that Austin is kind of reveling in the fact that people are chanting his name, right? So, to basically Now, it wouldn't be any surprise that in July of 2018, McBroom went under fire after past racist and sexist tweets of his went viral online. Basically, he just responded with a tweet labeling those who originally dug up the tweets as clout chasers, which received a very negative response from fans. The next year, so January 2019, a video of McBroom bringing a toddler into a novelty shop, which the novelty shop, I'm just gonna say it, Spencer's. He brought a child into Spencer's and bought her a phallic lollipop. And the girl was apparently related to Catherine, but McBroom received so much backlash from it that he had to make a video addressing the situation. But he filmed the whole thing, and he filmed the girl pointing at it, wanting it. He filmed him buying it for her. He filmed himself joking with the cashier and with the child, saying to hide it in her bag and that nobody needs to know, like it's her biggest secret.
Guys, I'm in so much trouble. But she said she was gonna steal it if I didn't buy it, so better me buy it. Thanks for buying it.
Which, sir, if a child says they're going to steal someone, a toddler, it is fully within your right to pick them up like a potato sack and carry them out of the store kicking and screaming if you have to. But why in the world were you in Spencer's with a toddler anyway? So then there was a video by Keemstar who...
absolutely no idea what the Ace family was thinking by filming this and putting it on Instagram or Snapchat or wherever it was, but it's just gross.
And there were so many tweets that were just going viral addressing the whole situation. People were asking how they think men are going to defend this action. And another person saying that just because it was Spencer's doesn't make it okay, and that there were plenty of stores where he could have gotten her a more appropriate lollipop, which is just absolutely so true. And then in response to the first one, this just made me laugh. In response to the first tweet that I mentioned, that was, I'd love to see how men defend this. A man with a sign that said, yikes. It's funny, I'll play it. It's hilarious.
Yikes! That's gonna be a fucking yikes from me. Holy.
Then in October of 2019, McBroom was accused by makeup artist and vlogger Cole Kerrigan, a former member of Jake Paul's Team 10 group, of having, quote, raped a woman while his father and security guard were in the same room, then making her sign an NDA, end quote. Kerrigan, who was friends with the victim, brought up alleged text messages between the two and showed pictures of bloodstained bedding from the scene. Kerrigan additionally claimed that the family paid drama YouTuber Keemstar $500,000 to keep silent about the situation. Keemstar later said that he had told Kerrigan that as a joke and published his side of the story, also accusing Kerrigan of extortion. Catherine defended Austin, who stated that he would be taking legal action against Kerrigan for, quote, extortion, defamation, and slander, end quote. On Twitter, Austin posted a notepad apology, which I'm just going to read it directly. Says, if you have not heard, I have recently been a victim of extortion, defamation, and slander. I knew this was a Cold War, but never did I foresee something this disturbing upon me. Thank you to all of my Ace family members for all of your concerns, and thank you to those who know my character and my heart. I don't wish this upon anyone and can only hope that those responsible for this learn from their mistakes and become better people. My family and I dealing with this matter privately and taking legal action. Bullying, extortion, slander, and defamation of character is something I will not stand for, and I can promise that justice will be served. Then there are Instagram posts by Leslie Hannah Bell that say, again, I'm just going to read it all out. To speak on this video that Cole Kerrigan posted, some of you have already figured out that I'm the other girl they're talking about in the video. I feel like this video was made for the wrong reasons, and this wasn't Cole's story to tell. Cole even texted me saying we could potentially get paid $100,000 from this following the claim that Drama Alert was paid off $500,000. And we will get to the text in a little bit. I wasn't aware Amanda or Cole were in contact with Drama Alert to anonymously run our story, but I was aware of Cole's video being made, and I only wanted it to be factual if it was ever going to be posted. I wanted to say that Austin McBroom is not to blame in the situation and did not rape me or anyone. I'm currently handling the situation in my own way. I brought this to social media to address the false accusations. This isn't what I wanted. There are several sides to every story, and this isn't how I wanted to tell mine. Now getting on to the text messages, we can see that Leslie said, "Hey, sorry I didn't hear you out. You caught me off guard texting me and I overreacted." And he responded saying, "Yeah, no, I get it. No worries." There's a big block of text, so I'm just going to read under that where it says, "Enough proof, but the point of this is not to upload a video. The point of this is to scare them into paying us off because they paid Drama Alert $500,000. So I'm sure they would pay me $100,000 or more not to say shit, and then I would split that with you guys if you help me and send me all the receipts that I need." Not much more came from the situation. A lot of drama channels covered the situation, but there were ultimately no charges ever pressed. Then in April 2021, a lawsuit was filed against Catherine for her alleged attempted coup of a cosmetics company. Way back in August of 2020, Catherine had signed a contract with TBL Cosmetics to create 1212, which is a skincare line where Catherine would be the public face. After 1212 Gateway began to make more money than anticipated, TBL claimed that in March of 2021, Catherine conspired with her family, friends, and other utilized or idol of her entourage to stage a takeover of 1212 Gateway's management by changing all of the account passwords and shutting down their website. In April, she then threatened to dissolve 1212 Gateway and prohibit any person from engaging in any activity related to the business unless authorized by her. Catherine also made a list of demands to TBL, including that TBL must transfer the website to her, give her access to all the company's books and records, and replace the current CEO with a new one within 5 business days. Which, all of those allegations are just absolutely insane. Like, that's just, that's crazy. Like, if that were all true, that would be an insane story. And of course, Catherine denied all of the allegations and claimed that TBL gave her consent to perform all of the acts, which TBL, of course, subsequently denied ever giving her permission to do all that. After all of the allegations, TBL filed a request for a temporary restraining order against Catherine to prevent her from going through with the dissolution of the company. However, Catherine's attorneys were quick to make sure that they knew that that request was moot because Catherine had already dissolved the company. And that's the end of that story. On May 29th, 2021, McBroom held a YouTube takeover parade at Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills. It was a pre-fight party prior to his headline fighting against TikToker Bryce Hall in the YouTubers versus TikTokers boxing event the next month. And if a lot of you are the same age as me, if you're a younger Gen Z member, you will probably remember Austin McBroom mostly from this fight. It was the headline fight for the YouTubers versus TikTokers boxing event where Austin McBroom would face off against Bryce Hall. There were so many videos about it just everywhere. And honestly, I think it was definitely not my first introduction to Austin McBroom. I had definitely been familiar with the Ace family prior to the boxing match, But that's really what kind of got me being like, oh, okay, now I actually know who this guy is and like what he does and whatever. So basically, McBroom and Hall had previously gotten into a physical altercation at a press conference promoting the event earlier in May. And so there were a lot of people who were very, very eager to see Austin McBroom before this fight. So about 350 people to 500 people convened, and the Beverly Hills Police Department was forced to close the roads for about an hour and a half in the afternoon. At that point, no arrests were made. However, the city of Beverly Hills later filed a lawsuit against McBroom and his social media marketing executive, Shiraz Hassan, as McBroom or Hassan did not apply for a permit to hold the parade within city limits. In addition, the city alleged public nuisance, violations of Beverly Hills Municipal Code, and just straight up negligence. During the actual event which McBroom hosted, he won his bouts against Hall. However, he and his company, Simply Greatest Productions, were sued by their partnered media company, LiveX Live, after the event underperformed in revenue when less pay-per-view packages were sold than expected. LiveX Live's attorneys said that the event failed because McBroom refused to take LiveX Live's marketing executive advice, which led to underpromotion. The company said that they will keep the funds from the event until SGP drops their own lawsuit against LiveX Live, which is harming their stock price. SGP alleges in their lawsuit that LiveX Live performed actions that constituted as a breach of contract and fraud by surpassing the initial budget and promising that endorsements and sponsorship agreements would deliver a bigger profit. Taylor Holder and Nate Wyatt, two participants in the event, filed a lawsuit against SGP as well, saying that they did not receive all of the money that was promised from the beginning of the event. Many other influencers and fight commentators have also said online that they had not been paid However, the performers Lil Baby and DJ Khaled were paid in full. James Harden, who invested his own money into the event, sent legal letters to McBroom. He claimed that he was owed $2.4 million. The lawsuit was settled at the end of 2021, in which it was agreed that LiveX Live would pay $300 million of the revenue from the event to participants who were owed money. Now, it is the end of an era. In January 2024, the couple announced that they would be divorced. Catherine wrote that their paths as a couple have shifted and has created challenges that are incorrectable. Which, honestly, if a lot of you have read the book and from a lot of the stuff that we've talked about already, it was just very obvious that Austin McBroom and Catherine were not meant to be. There was a lot of growth that needed to happen. And honestly, there's just a lot of issues that come about with family channels. Either children become estranged from their parents or parents divorce. There's very likely not a successful way to do a family vlog. It's just not beneficial for the kids, and it also gives pedophiles more access to videos of children potentially in compromising positions and being forced to share vulnerable things about themselves because they cannot consent. There's just a lot of issues, but I am glad that Catherine got out of that situation because nobody deserved that, right? She certainly didn't. So later in November, another lawsuit was filed against McBroom after he entered a woman's property without her consent, filming the interior and exterior and posting it online without her consent, again. But when he posted it, the home address was clearly in view. He additionally performed a loud and disruptive skit where he faked emotional distress, loudly vocalizing that basically he had been kicked out. even though he never lived in the house. Multiple strangers showed up at her home after the publishing of the video, and one of the roommates had participated in an online dating show that was filmed by McBroom called Austin's Looking for Love, which had recently finished filming at the time, and McBroom had allegedly posted content inside the house prior to the incident. Now, can I just say that I cannot find Austin's Looking for Love, anywhere. Let me, just Google it one more time to make sure I'm not going crazy, because I swear, Austin, so looking for love. Yeah, I cannot find it. I don't know where it is. I think it was scrubbed off of the internet. Because I don't know where it is. What the heck? Alright, anyway. Weird. And almost the last thing that we have to say about Austin himself is that he started a podcast called Outside Voices with his younger brother Landon in November. And he talked a lot in that first podcast episode about Catherine and the divorce and his life now. They were filming it in the backyard of his new house, which had a basketball court in it. So safe to say, he's still raking in the cash, Right.
It just sounds crazy. Right. And basically, long story short, from that video, I kept going on with this character that I was playing. I was playing this down bad character. And it was crazy because I felt like a lot of people were relating to me because, especially a lot of women were relating to me because after a breakup, no one wants to talk about it or act that way on social media, but that's how people are feeling.
And speaking of podcasts, most recently, so May 2025, on the Call Her Daddy podcast with Alice Cooper, Catherine revealed that McBroom had cheated on her with at least 3 women. She had also released that book I mentioned before, her memoir, titled Dolores, My Journey Home, which basically detailed all of McBroom's infidelity. McBroom took accountability in response, but also alleged that Catherine knew about the women and gave him permission. And of course, Catherine denied that she ever said that and claimed that she would never, ever do that. And then in February, she became engaged to Igor Ten, who was a tattoo artist, after meeting him on a retreat to Brazil, and then they got married the following September. So, she found love. But there were people who were questioning the interview and the ethics of it all on a Reddit post where it was an Ask Reddit post where someone had asked how they felt about Catherine's appearance on Call Her Daddy. And there was a comment that said, "There's something so disingenuous about this interview. It's eerie, honestly. Not undermining the trauma that Catherine went through with the infidelity, but she's not a good person herself. It seems like she's hiding so much in the interview. She really did skirt around the question of being okay with having your kids exploited on camera." And then there's a response to that comment which said, "Yeah, it felt icky that she said something similar to, well, everybody has a path and I can't judge. Your family content got the most views from pedophiles, babes." Which, clock the tea, clock it. And there is something of that to be said, and I've already mentioned it in this video, that a lot of family channels basically give a platform for pedophiles to get content, which is just, horrible. And I think I'm going to do the next 2 videos on family channels. So I'm going to go, look. Maybe I should just go through every family channel I could ever think of and make it a series. I don't know. We'll see how well this video does. And now it's a theme with my last video, which was on David Dobrik. And if you made it this far, you might as well go check out the other one. It is very long, but you'll actually get to see my face. 2 weeks ago, as of recording this on January 8th, 2026, that's when I'm recording it. So 2 weeks ago, the Ace family returned to YouTube, with the host of the channel now being Elle McBroom. And if I'm doing the math right, which should be pretty easy, Elle was born in 2016, meaning that a 10-year-old is running the Ace family channel now. What? Austin makes an appearance, and I'm pretty sure Catherine does too. There's only 3 new videos up, one of them announcing their return, the other one being like a Christmas vlog, and the other one being a New Year's vlog. So, the Ace family's back, just like David Dobrik was back. It seems that a lot of these family channels, a lot of channels in general, people on the internet who have gotten canceled can just rise up from the ashes a couple of years later and act like nothing ever happened. It has happened with David Dobrik. It's happened with now the Ace family and people like Shane Johnson or James Charles, which, to be fair, it never really felt like James Charles was truly off of the internet landscape, but he should have been canceled. He should not be allowed to be on the internet. He should be in jail, actually. Colleen Ballinger, she made a comeback this last year. 2025, man, it was the year for people to come back from the dead, come back from being canceled. So, anyway, that's all I have for you today, which feels a lot shorter than it should be, and I know that there are some controversies I didn't talk about, but again, I'm experimenting with video length and a bunch of other different factors. So I really hope you like this video, and if you stayed this long, I love you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.